And we are mostly on time, and just an announcement for people at the stalls and at the exhibition. We are going to be beginning our next session for hospitality investments, and it's going to be I would say it's going to be a good topic that is relevant to the industry and gives you a lot of knowledge, in depth knowledge of the subject. Mr. Mohankumar is here, and we're just waiting for one more person, but I would request you to please make your way to the conference room. We'll begin in 5. Review, it's on hospitality investments. We have a very renowned panel with varied experience. May I please invite on stage Mr. Mohan Kumar PK, who will be moderating the panel. He's a former area director in GM Taj Luxury Hotels. I think he's the most appropriate person to do this session. And I hear he has a lot of insights to share with us as well. So, welcome once again, sir. And as you're waiting for ma'am, I'll begin with Mr. Shishir Mathur, who's a managing partner, revenue and growth, Turnstone Hospitality. So, may I please have you on stage? Mr. Harish Chandra, strategic advisor in digital transformation, team leader of Rhythm Hospitality. Then we have Mr. Vaibhav Jatia from MD and CEO Rhythm Hospitality once again. And I believe Karuna ma'am is on her way, so she'll be joining the panel in just 5 minutes. And everybody who's waiting outside, we have begun with the session. Please come in. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Good afternoon to all of you. We have the panel here, and myself. I come from Bangalore. I think, you're coming from Delhi? Mumbai. Okay, you're in Mumbai. But Harish is flown all the way from Delhi. So we obviously are very serious about what we are going to share our thoughts with all of you. And I really hope and pray that we have an audience. We certainly need all these empty tables and chairs to be filled up because these are, yeah. Hello, Karuna, come.
I think Bombay traffic, no worries. Totally accepted. Ms. Karuna Nasta is here with us, Vice President, Business Development and Asset Management, Chalet Hotels. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Okay. So we would, unlike an election rally where, you get all the audience, you don't have to say what are the kind of tactics you use. We are still waiting for some more people to come in. Unfortunately, it's very symbolic of the hospitality industry in India. If it was, let's say, Thailand, Bangkok, this room would have been overflowing. So no amount of just infrastructure alone is not enough. You need to have hugely committed, sectorial audience community that can actually are very eager to build the next 200,000 rooms that we need. 200,000 rooms is what India needs in the mid-market and smart hotels category. Leave aside the luxury and premium hotels. So before actually I do the formal opening, where I'll obviously introduce ourselves, just want to context you so that those of you who are here, thank you so much because you are committed listeners. This is a very serious session. For the first time, and I've been to many panel discussions. For the first time, we in the industry are realizing, that means persons like me who are spokesperson, who are in the front line of the hotel industry in terms of brand operators, the Taj, the Marriott, the Hilton, all of us are very visible. The CEOs of all the big hotel companies are very visible to the Indian market, to the Indian media. But today it's very different. Today we are choosing a particular community that builds the capacity, the asset owners. There is now two huge bubbles that are coming up in India, or two different worlds, like the world of hospitality. One world is those who build the hotels. That means the landowners, the development people, the developers, the investors, right? Land alone is not enough. You need companies like Karuna's, Reheja, Chalet hotels to actually build the assets. They don't run any hotel. So they are builders. They're asset owners. India is one of the most foremost asset building company in India, which is publicly listed. They've done exceptionally well. Rehejas, Chalet hotels. So for that, congratulations. So there are few hotels like that coming up, companies coming up. I'm on the board of Prestige Hospitality. I just come on the board recently. Prestige is again a reality company. It's one of the top ranking reality companies in India. So it's a logical extension. Any reality company in the world, in terms of their growth and diversification, goes in for hotels. As you know that there are, in reality, there are different types of businesses in terms of reality in construction. Housing is the foremost anywhere in the world, especially in India, where they actually make all the money. Then comes the office spaces and the commercial spaces, and now they are also into hospitality. So there are many reality companies that have gone into, straddled across the different segments. So you have now Rehejas, who are originally the builders, they still are builders, reality, apartments. Then you have this Prestige, as I said. Stop. Malls, okay, that's what yours is. Yeah. But this one in Delhi, no? What's that? Sabi hotels. They are also builders, right? Then you have DLF. They're also building hotels. So today we are talking about bringing in more of the building community together to address their challenges and also to understand what is the secret sauce that makes them so successful. They don't run the hotels. They build the hotels. They build it to suit. So that's the context of today's this thing. So before I go in, I also wanted to context all of you on what is the current status of India as against, let's say, China, for instance. We have actually done a study, research, Shishir, Mathur and myself, on where does India stand vis-a-vis China. It's a very fascinating study. So having said that, I just want to say that in terms of capacity, India has 2.7 million hotel rooms today. 2.7 million, that's 270,000 hotel rooms. Manhattan has more than 100,000 rooms. Just one part of New York City. Singapore has maybe about 100,000 rooms, yeah, or more. India totally, such a huge country, has only just about 270,000 hotel rooms. And this includes, and out of that, do you know what is the percentage of branded hotels? Not even 15 to 20%. Only 15 to 20% are branded hotels. The rest of them are all still very traditionally run, family run hotels. Whole lot of them are not compliant to a lot of regulations that happen in India. So do you also know that the entire industry, hospitality industry, is not in the organized sector. It is in the unorganized sector still. That's why during the COVID time, the government of India or the state governments could not come in with massive relief measures for a sector like the hospitality sector. Because they still have not recognized that hospitality sector is actually in the mainstream of economic development. For example, I'll tell you, the present government over the last couple of decades have boasted of Mr. Nitin Gadkari's famous infrastructure development, which is so true and is so magnificently done. We all should be very proud of what India has done in terms of infrastructure. So where has the infrastructure money gone? Airports, right? Huge airports like Bangalore Airport. It's truly one of the world's best airports, right? Terminal 1, Terminal 2, like that, Bombay. So they are all concentrating on building airports. Then the airline industry, Indigo, for instance, or Air India, have ordered more than 1,000 aircrafts. What does that mean? 1,000 more capacity, correct? Capacity building. Roads have come, highways all over the country. There are, super highways today. Automobile industry is one of the world's best in terms of fastest growing and huge capacity build, and we also export, right? In all this, have you, why don't you ask this question? What about those who want to travel from A to B? Where do they stay? Where do they stay? Like mobility. We are talking about mobility, ease of access, and transport infrastructure. But the same government, same infrastructure industry has not even considered or factored capacity building for lodging. Where will they stay? Where will all these people who go to these 100 other smart cities in India, other than Bombay, Delhi, Chennai, or Bangalore, or Calcutta, where do they stay? We have another 100 cities coming up. Yes, that's because that is the scenario. Because the government of India does not think that hospitality industry is part of infrastructure. Still now. And do you know why they don't think that? Because tourism, it comes under the ministry called tourism. Tourism ministry primarily talks about what? Tourism. What is tourism? Tourism has got nothing to do with business travel. Tourism has absolutely nothing to do with business travelers. All of you are not tourists, but you all took the aircraft, took the airline, and landed in an airport. And obviously, you came here, but you're staying somewhere other than your own homes. You're like me, I'm staying at the Taj Lansing, right? So, if there is no capacity, how will people move? And today, do you know the Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z who are so exposed to global standards in accommodation, they refuse to go to T1, tier 1, tier 2 cities for posting because they said there is no place. I mean, there's nothing there. There's no lifestyle infrastructure in those cities and towns. Even people are reluctant to go to a city like Pune or Mysore from Bangalore or Mumbai because there are no good schools, there are no good hotels, there are no good restaurants. At the end of the day, 200 million Indians, who are probably as influential as the 300 million Americans, are now tasting new lifestyle. And hospitality is part of that lifestyle. So we have a suggestion to the government of India that truncate the business travel hotels, which is almost 60%. 60% of the hotels in India are in the cities and they cater to business travelers. Nothing to do with holiday makers, vacationers, weekenders, and all that stuff. And they must be separated from the tourism ministry and brought into the infrastructure ministry. The moment you actually get into the infrastructure ministry, you get infrastructure status. And the moment you get infrastructure status, people like Ms. Karuna would be the happiest because they get a lot of benefits. So we are going to talk about all that stuff. So I wanted to context you in that thing. Just a few more. By 2030, India will require an additional 1.5 to 2 million quality rooms. 100,000 to 200,000. So 100,000 to 200,000 rooms we require is not there. We need to build that capacity. And it has to come in the branded space. Do you know how much it takes to build a smart hotel room today? 35 to 40 lakhs or more, 50 lakhs per room. So if you have to build a 100-room hotel, it costs that much. In an industry where every single lending institution has double the amount of filters than any other sector. They are there to say that no to you rather than yes to you for capital and a capital intensive but a highly fragile, high risk industry. That's what they call it today, the sector. So this is the beginning of these discussions that I'm just going to say. Thank you so much for your patient hearing. So we'll now formally start by requesting the lady to start introducing herself first, say a few words, and then come out to, we'll just introduce ourselves and context ourselves. Go ahead. Just to say a few words, introduction, your thoughts, yeah. Opening.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Karuna Nasta from Chalet Hotels Limited, a hospitality vertical of K. Raheja Corp, the Chandra Raheja-led development company. Uh, there's no introduction needed, I think, for the group. It has its own pedigree, and everybody knows them very well across India. I had the business development function along with the asset management function for Chalet Hotels Limited. We are a listed entity, listed about 6 years back, with a market cap of 20,000 crores. We own 11 hotels, and 80% of our inventory is managed by international operators. By profession, by education, I am a chartered accountant. Uh, and I did start my career with accounting and auditing, but frankly got bored of it a few years down the line and wanted to do something more dynamic, more getting into business. So that's when I got into asset management and insurances at Chalet Hotels. Yeah, and I thank Mr. Mohankumar for this opportunity to address you all and to share our thoughts on the various topics touched upon by Mr. Mohankumar. We'll be delving into each one of them, and I'm hopeful that we will be, like he said, it's not a panel discussion, it's more a thought-provoking session where all of us will be expressing our thoughts, and maybe we can get to something more path-breaking and come out with some greater solutions and for the times to come for hospitality industry in India. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Vaibhav.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. Mr. Mohankumar asked us to be on the panel. We said definitely yes. We have so much respect for the gentleman sitting on my left. My name is Vaibhav Jatia. I'm the Managing Director and CEO of Rhythm Hotels and Resorts. We own and operate hotels and resorts across the country under an Indian homegrown brand that's 12 years old now. From background perspective, I'm a real estate private equity investment professional. Done my MBA from the Wharton School of Business in the US. I think the panel discussion that has been thought of for today, balancing EBITDA, ROI, is a very, very interesting subject matter and uh, something that I've been toying with in my career as well. There's so much that goes into any hospitality project, like the other panelists will talk about and many on the room know, in terms of land, building, construction, operations, brand, and how does one put all of that together with all the various players involved. Of course, you have government and the ecosystem and the number of inputs that go in. Many of you all in the room are on the supply side, so thank you for all the services and support you'll give we hotel owners in creating these assets. But just given the number of, I would say, moving pieces within a particular hospitality asset or a business and the different stakeholders involved, how does one put it all together and ensure that there's value creation for everyone in the ecosystem is definitely a topic that requires thought process from various angles, and all the people on the panel can share some of their thoughts, but it needs a much larger, broader understanding on the things in play in the Indian ecosystem compared to other markets that are more advanced in their hospitality journey, whether it's China, US, etc., and see what the industry as a whole can do to create value for all stakeholders moving forward. I'll stop here.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Mohan Kumar, for giving me opportunity. Thank you, World of Hospitality. I'm really very happy to be part of this panel. Technology is always ignored in hotels, and Mr. Mohan Kumar has given emphasis that how technology can help in balancing ROI, EBITDA, everything together, branding. This is an amazing thing. Let me tell you from my experience. I have traveled globally in many countries. In China, we have something called as China Hotel Lodging Association. A lot of owners are there together. In US, you must have heard of AAHOA. All the Guju owners have an association. 22,000 members are there. Now, I'm not taking any name or brand here. What happens is most of the owners are part of purchase committee, energy committee, XYZ committee, so that They try to see that how we can balance out ROI, EBITDA, and anything and everything. It's not only the brand who will dictate that change this software, change this carpet, change this chandelier. Unfortunately, in India, we do not have any such association which can take care of owners' interest. Is there any association? We have FHRI, HAI, ADTOI, TAI, ITA. We have faith, but there is no association which actually addresses the pain points of a hotel owner, a asset company like Brigade, Prestige, or anything. I'm not taking name of any brand. What I will say is today your hotel is tied up with the brand X. After 7 years, you remove that brand, you're going with a new brand. Will you change your complete setup, branding, everything as per the hotel standards? It will cost you. In India, yes, we all bow in front of all these brands. But in US, 70% hotels are franchise. In India, it is other way around. So we just follow their instructions. So time has come when we should create such associations which can really see what is required, what is good to have, what is must to have. This is what I will say. Apart from that, we are in digital age. Technology can really help in addressing EBITDA, ROI, branding, and everything. I will discuss this further during this panel discussion. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Shishir Mathur. I am a managing partner with Turnstone Hospitality Consulting. We are basically a consulting house where we help owners, basically landowners, to do feasibility studies, to tell them exactly what kind of product they should create in the hospitality space, whether it makes sense and what kind of returns they can get. Before this, I had worked with Ginger for 15 to 20 years, where I used to take care of business development, which is growth and expansion. In fact, I worked very closely with Mr. Mohankumar that time when he was the managing director and CEO at Ginger. After which, I worked with a German chain of budget hostels called Meininger. So that's about me, and then we can get into the real discussion.
Yeah, thank you. So we'll quickly get into the main topic. And just to talk about myself, I'll say that I'm celebrating my 50th year of being as a professional in the hospitality industry in India. So I've been with the Tata Group. I only know one particular company called the Taj. And all my life, 40 years, I worked for the Taj. And I published a book. So anyone who wants to know more about me, you're most welcome to read one of my books. Yeah, thank you. So see, the topic is very clear. Hospitality investments. Imagine yourself to be, like three of you are sitting there. One of you is a hospitality investor. The other person is a landowner. And the third person is actually, could be combined, developer. So investor, developer can be the same. Even the landowner also could be the same. But in terms of core competency, a landowner may not necessarily have development capability. Development capability for a reality comes in from a reality company, right? And then landowners are landowners at the end of the day. So let's keep, for the sake of discussion, landowners as a separate entity, developers, investors as one entity, and then the lending institutions, the big financial institutions, banks, whole lot of companies, institutions that actually offer loans, finance support, funding to the hospitality industry. And the fourth could be a combination of brand owners and the customers. At the end of the day, the hotels today that have to be built in India should be in keeping with the demographic dividend that we have. The younger generation below, majority of the population in India are hopefully under the age of 40. So therefore, your whole design concept, philosophy, all the stuff about this hotel should be appealing to a generation that is currently expected to actually patronize these hotels, right? So this is the basic division. So what is the first question? The question that I'm asking, and I have been a brand operator all my life. We also been Indian Hotels Company when I joined the year 1974. It was actually an own operator, owning and operating. That means, for example, the Taj Mahal Hotel Mumbai in 1901, or before that, J.N. Tata built it. But where did he get the land from? From the port trust. So, it's a 100-year lease from the port trust, lease, right? So somebody owned the land, and even now the port trust actually owns the land. He built the hotel, and then they decided later, after so many years, in 1960, actually the Tata Group thought it was a white elephant. They didn't know what to do with the hotel. But eventually Mr. Kerker came in, and we built a brand called the Taj. So it took about 30, 40 years to build a brand called the Taj. And then we also then built our own hotels except the palaces which we acquired. So so therefore, that was how India developed its capacity. The Oberois, they built their own hotels, operators. But post-liberalization, when India opened up its economy, its border, its trade to the whole world, obviously that means, like he was saying in 2005, when FDI, foreign direct investment, was allowed in the hospitality sector, all the major domestic brands, Indian Hotels Company, ITC, Oberois, whole lot of them, obviously face the heat, because you have huge giants of companies like Marriott's and all coming into India. So then came the restructuring of the architecture. The restructuring of the hospitality business started off post-liberalization, when they, like the global companies, where Marriott does not own any hotel, like Uber does not own any car. So that's the new business model, right? So Indian Hotels Company, Taj, adopted it. I was part of that to redesign the brand architecture, and we brought in the Vivantas and the Gateways and the Ginger, right? So therefore, that is now very clearly defined. It takes a lot of time for a huge country like India to actually segmentation and create different spaces for different players. So today it's slowly getting very clear that those who build the hotels, they are the asset owners. They are completely different from the operators. Okay, they may build to suit, and they may have strategic alliance. For example, Prestige Hospitality has a strategic alliance with Marriott's. Most of the hotels that are built in India are built by Prestige, right? Of course, Rahejas have a strategic alliance with Marriott's too, or other brands. She'll talk about that. So now, question that you all have to ask is, why is then there's a huge gap in capacity shortage in India? Why is it that we as a country are not able to build good hotels? 100-room hotels, 300-room hotels, 400-room hotels, and anywhere in India. And therefore, our share of world market in terms of inbound tourism, foreigners coming into India for holidays, is declining. It's coming down. From 5%, it's come down to 3%. No, foreigners are not coming into India. So our entire tourism is dependent on domestic travelers, which pay very low rates. So these are all the scenarios. So if you don't build capacity, we are not going to attract overseas customers, because the overseas Europeans or the Americans, or let's say the Asian, they all used to certain type of hotels, different segments, mid-market hotels, smart hotels, and also premium hotels, where they can pay less for the hotel room rates. So therefore, there is a need for building capacity. So the first question is, she is a builder, developer, right? So her company, Rahejas and Chalet, have their own investment, their own cost of operation, cost of building projects, and they also have their own EBITDA targets. They also have their own ROI. So let's imagine that, okay, there is a certain land and they have decided to build a hotel. And if he is the lending institution, they have their own responsibility. The responsibility is in terms of interest, burden, interest payment, and also whether the particular hotel, the feasibility is, gestation period usually is about 7 to 9 years or 10 years. So therefore, do they have the capacity to service the interest? What is the debt equity ratio? So lending institutions also have a very high filter. Probably because of the reputation of the company that she represents, maybe the lending institutions will give, but they're giving it at a very high rate of interest. You know, that he'll talk about that. And let's say he comes in from a perspective of landowner. So the landowner says he has no idea about hospitality business. He says, do one thing. I have 5 acres of land. You come in, build a hotel, and then, no, but how can I build a hotel in your land? Where is my equity? No, I'm not going to give my equity. No equity from my land. Neither is he putting in any money. This is the most of the scenarios in India. So that's how we're going to start. How do you ensure that all four different segments of the asset creating community, that is landowner, developer, investor, landing institution, all are able to meet their targets, performance targets? That's the question.
Thank you for that lovely background, Mr. Mohankumar. So, okay. Yeah. Am I audible? Yeah. So, like Mr. Mohankumar mentioned, that in any hospitality asset, there are multiple stakeholders, some behind the scenes, some front of the scene. Like he enumerated, there are landowners, there are investors, developers, there are lending institutions, and then there are brands who operate hotels. The dichotomy is that everybody wants the success of the hotel project, obviously. But the funny thing is, their definition of success for each of them is different. The landowner wants to protect his long-term asset. The investor wants to protect his ROI. The lender wants to protect his repayments, his moratoriums, his interest payments on time. The brand wants to protect their brand promise and guest satisfaction. And of course, the owner wants the returns, the multiples, the exits. It's in hospitality, it's a very tight rope which all these kind of stakeholders walk on. And the correct word used today is balance, because none of them can be compromised, because everybody has to be successful. They're all in the business for something to get returned. So the whole thing is about aligning strategically all their interests. I'll go into a little bit on that topic of balancing the tightrope of EBITDA, ROI, and the brand. The big mindset difference between the owner and operator usually comes when owner starts thinking brand is the cost. And when brand starts thinking that owner's ROI discipline is brand dilution. Only when they align and come together and work as partners is sometimes when it becomes successful. And hovering above all this is the guest, who's a prime customer, who's a bread and butter. Now, guest is not concerned whether you have embellished gold on your beds, whether you have the best coffee machine in your room, how much you've spent on it, what is your capital stacking, what are your interest rates. What matters to him is a pleasurable stay and a wonderful experience. That's all he takes home. Now, what you do to give him that experience is in your hands. It's in the hands of all these couple of stakeholders where they have to strike a balance. When a hotel is built strictly by a brand checklist, it's never going to work. You need to understand owners have invested money, lenders have lent money. Everybody needs their share, return, and assurance of payback. Simple example, whenever a room is built by design, it will never work. It will have to be built considering the ROI. If there's a room design which is fantastic but not practical, what it will involve is high maintenance costs, high housekeeping costs, some amenities which are required as per the brand to be kept in the room may have a capex one time but opex lifetime. So you see, there is a very small, uh, tight, sensitive path which all the stakeholders have to take in order to make the whole project successful. So I'll just put it in a nutshell that owners want multiples and brands want moments. A hospitality asset or a hotel is successful when these moments turn into multiples, but without burning your EBITDA. I'll hand over to.
Thank you. So, yeah, before I come to Mr. Vaibhav, because he actually is the chairman, owner, he actually set up a hospitality company. So there is a high risk, and he has a beautiful model, which I'll request him to talk about it. But before that, I just want to go into Shishir, because I can ask him this question that, see, do you know that in France, for instance, France is the same size as Karnataka. Okay, but in terms of the tourism, it's one of the top 10 economic drivers in that country. And whenever you talk about France, apart from the fighter jet aircraft, what's the name? Rafale or Rafale, whatever the company, the aircraft. Do you know that 80% of the French people believe in starting a restaurant or a hotel? It's one of the countries that are highest in terms of tourism inbounds. So it's a country that actually talks about, it is so easy to do and fast to do, and it is already there in the DNA. I can get into hospitality business. There is a culture. Similarly, in Switzerland, almost 90% of them, families, own either a small chateau or a hotel or a restaurant, right? Do you know what is the potential for India? Huge. And before I ask Shishir a question, I want to tell all of you so that there's a certain participation. You should have a certain stake in what we are talking. Each one of you actually have the potential to build a 40-room hotel or a 30-room hotel or a 25-room hotel or a restaurant. Correct? Because once you actually get it all right, then it actually builds your business, your brand, and also you're laughing all the way to the bank. There is a certain sauce, secret sauce, there's a certain formula by which you can actually understand how to make a good hotel and make it run profitably and bring me the return on investment. That would be how we are going to direct this whole conversation so that it benefits all those people like you who are listeners. So to ask Shashi, the question is, if she is the asset owner, like Rahejas, if you're going to help, and you are the brand operator, when do you think you should be on board? And what is the kind of synergy or win-win situation you will create as an operator? Let's say you're from Marriott's, okay, with Rahejas. Yeah.
So, as a brand owner, given a choice, I would like to be involved from day one itself. The reason being that if I am involved from day one with the owners itself, at a design stage itself, we take care of a lot of factors. So there was a point which you did talk about, design. And design for a lot of people means aesthetics. But for me, design is not about aesthetics. It is actually about how well you design to suit your customer's requirement later. How well you can plan for the future. For instance, if you are in a certain location where you feel that this is a pretty good location for MICE or events or even Hindu marriages, and I'm specifically saying Hindu weddings because the way you want to plan your hotel for Hindu weddings could be very different from some other kind of weddings. And if you know that in advance, if you know the kind of potential which exists, and if I am with the owners from that time itself, we will save a whole lot of money which is spent initially. And when you look at ROIs, you don't just look at what you get in terms of profits, but what is the kind of investment you have made, because it's a factor of profit over investment. And if you can save that investment initially, your ROIs would be healthier for the long term.
Interesting. So now we come back to Vaibhav because he has gone into all that stuff, including probably in terms of finance, lending. So let's hear from him. How do you make your company? You know, you have decided to get into the hospitality business, and you have you have a business model where you actually now run and operate how many hotels? 8 hotels. Let's hear from him how when did he actually manage to get his returns on gestation period over, break even, get back his ROI, or if at all he's getting that, and what are the kind of quantifiable benefits and value that you actually acquired over the period of time after getting into hospitality industry?
Yeah, so coming from a finance background, getting into the business on Excel spreadsheets and on due diligence of other projects, it always seemed like a very complicated business to get into. And I think Karuna put it very, very well in terms of all the stakeholders and balancing the requirements of each. Um, I think what we figured out is to actually make this work, we need a very, very low cost of capital. We need capital that is very patient, that is very long term, long gestation. And in the traditional financing models, there's equity and then there's debt, right? Typically, how it is structured in India at the moment, the debt comes at a particular cost and it has a fixed limited duration as prescribed by RBI. So, unfortunately, unlike in Western markets, debt uh, is not ideally structured to kind of go into a greenfield project. I mean, obviously, you can do it. All depends on the quantum and how much you take. But given so many things that need to fall in place, one ends up taking a high degree of risk if even one of those aspects get delayed, whether it's a permission or whether it's some land matter or a construction related aspect. And you do see a lot of stressed hotel assets. You do see a lot of non-performing assets. And it's a result of how it was conceived financially at the start. Now, when it comes to equity, unfortunately, there is another, I would say, high desired return for equity. The thing how equity works is there is a time value. So when everyone talks about ROI, it's the return that you make in how much time, right? And if time is extended, then obviously the return you need is a lot more to get that same IRR percentage as they say in finance. And given how long gestation any hotel project is, unfortunately, the time it takes is just too long to justify any reasonable return on equity, especially when you take the market value of land into consideration. So, given all the realities of the ecosystem in India, what is that source of financing that's really coming in? I mean, REITs are there, listed companies are there, but that's really for much larger corporate entities, not for people who are starting out, not for entrepreneurs for sure. Um, so that's why we had to innovate a new business model called Resi-Tel, where essentially you had to go to individual kind of property owners, vacation home seekers who are thinking of it long term, who are flexible with a lowish type of a single digit return because they're looking to hold the asset long term and give them a little bit of that vacation home enjoyment. So it's a business concept that had to be curated in an Indian context to justify um, the entire project and to ensure that all stakeholders get that fair share of return. And in case of any deviances or God for black swan events like we saw in the COVID-19, we are still uh, in the black and not in the red as they say in finance.
Thank you, Vaibhav. Yeah, so we have another, 20 minutes or so. We want to sort of get into the final phase of our discussion. So the question that I want to ask is that will be very, very uppermost in your mind, which we are, so I hope all of you now understand that we are not operators, we are discussing about asset creation, building the hotel. So in this building of the hotel, I want to ask the panel members here, starting from Karuna, that which is the most expensive component? Is it the land cost? Is it the building cost? Or is it the furnishing cost, making it that into a hotel? Or is actually the cost of interest?
There are two ways to look at this. What is most expensive? One is in terms of monetary value. Other one is time. Time is money, right? But if you talk about monetary value in key metro cities and in tier 1 cities, of course, no, undoubtedly, the biggest cost is your land cost. And I think that's one of the success factors of K. Raheja Group is identifying land pockets at the right locations, because for the success of a hotel, there are only three base words: location, location, and location. If you get the location right, you're halfway home. So identifying those land pockets and kind of buying them at the right time is has been quite a win for the group I work for. And secondly, also of course the time. If you take a lot of time to build the hotel, your interest during constructions add up and there's no end to it. So I think this is something which beautifully K. Raheja has done, identifying land at the right price, having the foresight. For example, I was sharing with Mr. Mohankumar on an informal chat that the Western Powai and the Marriott Executive Apartments, around 800 rooms, land bought 40 years back in a location called Powai. I hadn't heard of that when I joined this company, also very much 2.5 decades back. So having that kind of foresight, having that kind of developmental capability, and in the right time frame. So it really helps keep the project cost at the optimum. And obviously then ROIs are a no-brainer. They do come along if it's operated efficiently, along with keeping your guest happy, like I said, and respecting the brand.
Thank you. So let me just turn over to Harish and ask him, if that's the case, you know, we are a young nation and there's a lot of innovation, there's a lot of vibrancy and huge, hyper energy that's happening in the country across the cities, at least the 40% of urban space. So there's a lot of ambition, desire, aspiration in every sector. So what is happening is, whichever is the pain point. So in whatever she said, the main pain point is getting the land. Everything else can be done, man-made. But land is limited. Planet is not expanding. So where do you, and you have, if for hotels, other than any other building in the world, you have to have the right location. Famously, Hilton said, location, location, and location. That makes all the difference for the success of a hotel business. That means, like how Mr. Raheja himself bought over this land in Powai. At that time, 40 years ago, when he bought this land, his own family members asking, what are you going to do with this? Are you going to sort of create a forest like how Mr. Ambani's son has created, no? Elephants and all that. Powai, because it was so far away. But look at the foresight. That is the difference. So, but how many of us have that foresight to invest in land and keep it as landed property for some time? So, the tendency today is to circumvent all that. Okay. A lot of brand operators and developers are now looking at either leasing the land or, of course, buying out the land and building the land in a much smarter way. So, there's a lot of cost optimization happening in the project cost, as well as also in terms of time. As she said, space and time. How can we contract the time? So to answer that, what would be your ideal asset hotel company doing an EBITDA of 40% from year one? What are the secrets?
It is all about digitalization, nothing more than that. Like you said, location. I will say disruption, digitization are the only key ways. Unfortunately, in India, we provide technology to the world. Are we able to use it? We provide technology to the world. In most of the hotels today, we know WhatsApp is there. How many hotels have listed their WhatsApp number on billboards or digital signages so that customer can reach them free of cost? No, very few have done it. Very few have done it. Now, the main issue is energy cost to increase the EBITDA. AI technologies are coming. You can ensure that using those artificial intelligence, agentic AI technologies, you can save up to 25% of your energy cost. If you want, I can introduce you with many companies like that who are doing wonders with domestic and international chains. Now the ROI will come if you will think something very different. In a guest room today, we have got so many gadgets. There's a Wi-Fi system, there's a telephone, there's a television. You can control your drapes or door using some technology. Can we put all solutions under one chip, which will save money? That's the innovation. Do we really need receptions in hotel? Many hotel companies are going away with the reception. If you go away with the reception, if you use a, a kiosk or a TV where some female from one common shared point can do check-in as per the guest convenience, that will save a lot of money. So let's not discuss only about branded 4-star, 5-star hotel, which are only 2%. Let's think of 98% hotels who can leverage on some basics to safeguard on manpower cost. Trainings can be done immediately, which used to take months, can happen now in weeks. Hardly any students are coming to National Council of Hotel Management. Can we use some VR, AR technologies so that the manpower challenge in hotels is achieved using technology, which is very simple. We can have AI-based cameras, which can really do wonders to identify VIP. A criminal is coming to hotel, car not parked properly in a parking lane. A lot of things can be achieved. If a tray is lying outside door for 6 hours, lizards, rats come. So AI camera can ensure that rats, cockroaches are not there. It can take a picture, pass it to room service captain, go to manager, XYZ. You can have different levels of intimations. Today, technology is making wonders, but we took how many years? This web transformation started in 2003. We were always busy into giving a very good bed sheet, spotless bed sheet, taking care of guests like a king, and who took all the advantage? OTAs. They just bubbled up. They have taken 25% of your revenue. So I am giving emphasis on technology. If you use technology right, you can safeguard your investment. You can balance your branding, ROI, EBITDA.
Thank you. So next question is going to be very exciting. And India does not have that big a hotel. So I'm coming to, India is actually not just a middle income economy, though that's what I believe it is. But there is also, India is also a country that actually has got the highest growth in terms of billionaires. Billionaires, millionaires, middle class has become upper middle class, huge number of HNIs. So India is actually a most happening country. It's a democratic country, large population, highly aspirational, extremely capable, competent people. We can survive anywhere in the planet and actually make it to the top. There are more than 24 US companies where the Indians are the CEOs. So that clearly shows it's all about environment, it's all about political climate, it's all about stability, which is what's happening in India today. So in that kind of a scenario, how come that India does not have even one 1,000 room hotel? USA has probably about 500 or more. Why we don't even have one 1,000 room hotel? So that's a question to all of them. Let's see what the answers are from Karuna, who actually represents Raheja's. Chalet hotels, as you know, has been the most successful. Those of who have not subscribed to the IPO that they had are unlucky because they've done extremely well. They still are going to do very well. So let's hear from her. Why is it that even they have not built a 1,000 room hotel?
Yeah, the closest we have is Western Powai and the MEA combo at 777, almost 800. Yeah. But coming back to Mr. Mohankumar's question, again, to build a hotel as big as 1,000 rooms, it needs to have that much land, right? And land, as we discussed, is not easy to come by in India. So between land approvals and policies, I would say these three factors are really important for a success on the build side. Of course, there are other stakeholders, and we discussed. But like in the West, there is the state is seen as not only a financer but an enabler. So if the land regulations, the zoning regulations, the FAR regulations, FSI regulations, parking regulations, which are become archaic for loss of a better word, if they are kind of made more for the business community and can boost investor confidence, that will be a game changer. If the government can identify big pockets of land which can definitely change the landscape of India and work on a lease model, that will take care of a huge obstacle today in the developers, investors' mind to build a large hotel as big as 1,000 rooms. Coming to approvals, there are around, at least in Maharashtra, we operate in multiple states, but just for Maharashtra, there are around 75 to 80 licenses stroke approvals to be taken from at least 2 dozen agencies. And it's not only taking it one time, it's renewing them year after year, every 5 years, every 3 years. We've gotten better. Most of them were annual, now it's 5 years. But still, it's not as transparent. It's not as quick. It's not just like at submission of your application, you get the renewal. So all these are, small things which are pangs in the daily operations of the hotel. So what is required is actually a single window from where, and which is totally bereft of any manual intervention and which is regulated, so that all the approvals and licenses right from the construction time till the life of the hotel are done through a single window. Today we have to go for some approvals to the local authorities, some to the state, some to the center, and everything has a sequence. Ye lao, fir ye milega, wo lao, fir ye milega. I mean, there is no end to it. So actually the owner, and in the whole bargain, even the brand who has tied up, kind of, there is a level of, kind of, what you say, saturation which comes. And only, developers or hospitality leaders who have experience, have the patience, can kind of work here in India.
The state power.
Yes, and the state power. And also the policies. There are a lot of policies which the states have introduced, incentives for, say, stamp duty or for electricity or for property tax. But then, the whole policy needs to be implementable and in a time-bound manner. And at the same time, after the incentives policy is rolled out or applicable to a certain unit, the rollout of the incentives also should be seamless. I think when all these three things come together, the land, approvals, and a friendly policy, it will take care of a lot of issues which we as owners, developers are facing today.
All right, thank you. And remember this day. So I'm sure she will go back to the board, to her leadership team, and talk about what she told us all about this 1,000 room hotel. Let's see which brand or which owning company will actually come up with a 1,000 room hotel. So we'll have to, there are already signals that we are exceeding the time. So we'll make it quick. If you can kindly make it quick. What is your formula, success formula, to make a 1,000 room hotel in India?
I know it's something you're very passionate about. I think given all the ground realities that Karuna so eloquently spoken about, the only way I think it'll happen is if the government nationalizes it or does it themselves. Buy the land, build the hotel, maybe run it themselves. That's the only way we'll actually see it get done. Because there's no logical justification as to why anyone else would, according to me.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Vaibhav. And yes, Harish, how would you influence? He's a big influencer in terms of he has got so many WhatsApp groups of almost all the leadership in India on hospitality. So let's see, as an administrator, can he get any one of them to really think seriously about building a 1,000-room hotel in a convention city like Delhi?
In 1992, something happened drastically in India. National Action Plan for Tourism came, which targeted 10 million tourists by 2000, example I'm saying. In 1982, we had Asian Games. Because of that, a lot of hotels came in New Delhi. In 2010, we had Commonwealth Games. Now something's happening in Ahmedabad, 2030, I believe. Now, it's a dream that we have 1,000 rooms hotel. This is very much possible. The only challenge is information is there, a lot of information, but we do not have insights. There are many owners who want to give the land. They do not know what is franchise, what is revenue share, what is residual model. So the information is not there with the land owners. If government can come with a digital platform where I put my land, that I have got this much of land, then Tourism Finance of Corporation, Ministry of Finance, all those people can come together. There are builders like Rahija, Prestige, others. They will see that this land parcel is available. Today we have to hunt for everything. Why? Because there is no digital platform available. This is one point. If you want to make a 1,000 rooms hotel, you have a lot of pressures of cost, manpower, energy. So technology can really address all those things. If you will install solar panels properly, instead of having the triple layer glazed glasses which are soundproof, you put something in between which makes them solar panel. That will really help you.
Okay.
You
Let's make it quick, yeah.
Sorry. So what I'm saying is, let's create a digital platform which will try to solve, and it's not only 1,000 rooms, we can have 10,000 rooms hotel also, and we can host Olympics in India. Thank you.
Yeah, before I give it to Shishir for his comment, which would conclude this whole discussion here today about this 1,000 room hotel. When I was actually the general manager, I was area director, head of Taj Kerala. I was tasked to set up all those hotels in Kerala. We built it and we operated it. So I was staying at the Taj Malabar, which is a 98-room hotel, but it's one of the most beautiful properties in India. It's called the Venice of the East. So I was staying there. I could see a luxury liner just passing by early in the morning, from my room. So from 98-room hotel, I was actually relocated to, guess where? To a 1,000+ room hotel in New York. We had this hotel called the Lexington, if you all remember, the Taj Lexington. Taj Lexington was 1,000+ room hotel. It was a bed factory. America is famous for these large formats. 2,000, Chicago has this convention city, so it has 2,000, 3,000 room hotels. So I said, how do I manage? I mean, from 98-room hotel, already giving me sleepless nights. So when I went to become the GM of this hotel, do you know that it was a far more easier task? I hardly had to do anything because it was just a bed factory. It was only lodging, and they had outsourced all their outlet. This is in 1998. They had a coffee, all-day dining room, the coffee shop. They had a Italian restaurant, and they also had a bar. The Virgin Islands airline crew was staying there. And so everything was outsourced. The hotel GM had hardly anything to do except be good with the New York mafia who actually does the garbage clearance. If you go on the wrong side of him, your hotel will not be cleared of garbage, and then you get penalty. Do you know, it is that easy. So that's where that country had reached in 1998. It was not a complex business. You see, the whole purpose of this discussion is to tell the government of India, with all the progressive leaders that we have, both political and bureaucratic, that they had to get out of this whole history of making it very difficult for a businessman or an owner or an individual Indian citizen to actually get into entrepreneurship. There are no more jobs. Most of your next generation children, nephews, nieces will not get jobs thanks to AI. That is for sure. You saw what happened in Davos. They're saying that that's the biggest disruption that's going to come. Either you learn AI and become an expert in AI, therefore you get a job, or you become an entrepreneur. So if you really want to start a restaurant or even a hotel, small hotel, do you know the number of licenses and how long you have to take to do it? So more than the ease of business, I think our Honorable Prime Minister should talk about speed of doing business. Speed of doing business, not ease of doing business. So, Shishir, that's the case. When will you be dreaming of a 1,000 room hotel? Or is it already happening? Like in Bangalore?
So
That's the
firstly,
final one.
So firstly, 1,000 rooms, I think it's not theoretical. I think it's easily possible. There are at least half a dozen locations in India which can support a 1,000 room hotel. I mean, if I'm a hotel company, I would probably look at an upscale hotel, not a luxury hotel. So maybe something in the space of a lemon tree it makes more sense, which means 60 lakhs a key or 600 crore investment, not a very large investment. It needs a lot of land or maybe FSI. So what needs to be worked out? Like in China, for instance, if you are building a hotel, you can get 18 FSI. In Mumbai, you get a FSI of 3. In Bangalore, you get 3.25. Now, that's not the kind of FSI a 1,000 room hotel would need. You would need a lot of other infrastructure. You can't expect the hotel to create its own sewage treatment plant. I mean, for a 1,000 room hotel, imagine the kind of sewage which you need to work out. So that the government has to take care of. Parking norms, which you were talking about. A 1,000 room hotel today, I think requires 500 car parks. You don't really travel in your own car to a hotel. So why do you need 500 car parkings? Why do you need 5 basements for a 1,000 room hotel just for car parking? So I think if these kind of norms are taken care, a 1,000 room hotel, it's not a big deal. I think it can happen. It happened in Aero City, for instance, 15 years back. You create an entire zone where hotels can come up, and there are right now 5,000,
That's a very good
6,000
example.
rooms over there. They're all making money. And they were expensive, but they're making, it makes sense.
Thank you, Shishir, and that's the end of it. I just want to conclude by saying that with all these discussions, the message to all of you and who are listening on the video, which will probably go on to the YouTube and all that, is that there is a lot of promise, there's a lot of potential, and there's a huge opportunity for all of us, if at all, and less of governance and less of government and more of the private sector can actually build India. Honestly, seriously, I think of that. Yeah, or PPP model. So thank you, friends, for listening to us so patiently. If there's any question and answer, we can take 1 or 2 questions. Thank you. Let's give all these experts a big hand, please. Panel members who have come all the way to
All
share their
investment
thoughts.
queries to the panel, right? Anybody who wants to invest where? I think we have the right people here. Thank you so much, everyone. I think it was a great session. Like Sir mentioned, it will also be posted on our YouTube channel. So in case you want to share it further, that would be possible next week. And may I please invite Mr. Satish Dange on stage on behalf of World of Hospitality.
I think there's one question if you want. I think you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, sure. Oh, I'm so sorry I missed you, sir. Can we have a mic?
Thank you, sir, for giving me an opportunity to ask you this valuable question. We have seen how South Asia and Southeast Asia growing so wonderfully and yet offer rooms literally at 50% of what we are paying in India. Now, this becomes a very big handicap for all travelers of all segments, whether they are tourists, whether they are, India is still the most expensive place to come for a holiday. What is really working against the hoteliers is the mindset of our government that hotel industry is a luxury. And the support that we need to bring this industry, which is so labor intensive also, into profitability status, is because the attitude is wrong. Until we don't work towards getting the attitude corrected, and that can only happen with dynamic leaders like Mr. Narendra Modi, the industry making a proper presentation to him, ensuring that we get special. As you said, there was 18 FSI available for places in China. Why can't it be done here to help and support the industry? We don't need 5 acres of land to make a 1,000 room property. Probably even 1 acre. For example, President Hotel, my father built, was done on 1 acre of land. And that's 300 rooms. Now that sort of facility was given at those times in 1969. I was just 11 years old. And my father got the permissions to build 300 rooms with 4 FSI in those times. Now, if that sort of thing could be given at that time, why not these things could be made available now? So we should make a complete wish list, approach the governments, both locally in Maharashtra and in other states, as well as to the central government, that if a proper experienced operator comes into play, that they should be able to give us that kind of support, make the whole list, whether it is licenses, operating expenses, whatever way we can bring it down. Those sort of things, this representation is very important. And of course, I would look at our major chains like Oberoi's and the Taj to really foot this thing forward, because it will only help them and other people to make profitable ventures. So somebody had to take up this responsibility. Is that all we are asking for?
Thank you. Just give me 60 seconds because that's a very provocative question. I want to take you all back to the Indigo incident. And we all know what happened when one airline in this huge country, just one airline, almost paralyzed air travel in this country. What is it called? Monopolizing the airspace, right? And it's not their fault. You can't blame Indigo. Indigo has done brilliantly well in terms of making sure that they occupy the vacuum, the space that is left behind by all the airlines, and did a great job. Yeah, whatever they did to create that incident is not the discussion. So the point is that the government and the state governments must ensure that there's a capacity building. Capacity building is not happening in the hospitality industry. Capacity building, in fact, actually is over-exceeded in the automobile industry. Have you seen? I mean, there are so many cars, you don't even know which brand. Each brand has got about 4 different segments. That because it's answering, they let it free. Now, even now in the European Union trade pact, look what the government has done. They have actually lowered from 120% to 40% German cars. Just for the expediency of making sure that you sign a trade pact with European Union. And Germany will collapse if they don't export their cars. So, if that is the way it should be. Private sector should find its own water level, right? Let it go. Allow the industry to prosper, build a capacity, let them at some point of time understand what is supply and demand mechanics is. I think if that happens today, do you know in every city, if you go for a festival weekend or during a peak season business time, you will end up paying almost 3 times more than what you normally pay during off season. And you have no choice. OTAs, they just extracted 20% profit they take. 20,000 rupees, 10,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees of one night stay. 60% of the things that you kept in the hotel, you don't use it. Correct? Because you have no choice. So if you build like 700 room Ginger Hotel is coming up in airport in Bangalore, they've allowed it. That will actually ensure that the prices come down to 4,000 rupees because when there is scale, you can actually manage at a lower rate. That's the answer to you. Thank you. Go ahead.
I realize I'm surrounded by a lot of passionate people who want hospitality to grow. So it's wonderful to be in the room. Thank you. Mr. Satish, can I please have you on stage? May I request everybody to rise? We'll just give you a small token of memento. We'll start with the lady on the panel, Miss Karuna Nasta, who has come here from Chalet Hotels. It is great to see the kind of variety Sir brought on stage, and so we could have inputs from all areas. Please, a wonderful round of applause.
You can give them a bigger hand.
Yes.
Let it be loud and clear.
Mr. Vaibhav, thank you for being here, sir. Mr. Harish Chandra, I'll request you to come forward. Yeah, Mr. Mathur, I request you to please receive your memento. Oh,
Shishir Mathur is a young industry professional. He was responsible for a lot of ginger hotels in the Indian Hotels Company. Thank you.
And last but not the least, Sir. A big thank you to Sir for being part of World of Hospitality and bringing such commendable panel and topic forward. Can I please request everyone for a group picture as well? So just letting the audience know, from attaining an asset, we will move to designing an asset, and we already have the next panel with us. All the members have already arrived, so we'll begin in less than 5 minutes. Thank you, everyone. My team can help you with the boxes for the